Good evening, everybody. Welcome to this meeting of the Audit and Risk Committee. This is a meeting of the Council held in public, it's not a public meeting. There are no fire drills planned, so if the fire alarm sounds, please leave by the exit nearest the large screen at the front of the room and proceed down the fire exit to the courtyard. Once it is safe to return, councillors will receive a text message. Officers will also be advised when it's safe to return to the meeting. We're recording the meeting this evening using our webcasting system. The webcast will be transmitted live and will also be available on the Council's website following the meeting. All mobile devices should be switched off or set to silent so that the meeting is not interrupted by ringtones. Thank you. So on to item number 1, apologies for absence. Chloe?
Thank you, Chair. We have apologies from Councillor Brockman.
Thank you very much. Item number 2, declarations of interest. Any members got any declarations? No, I don't think we have. Item number 3, minutes. Have we read the minutes of the last meeting and are we in favour? Yeah, that's two in favour and 1 abstention from Councillor Palmer. Thank you. So item number 4, certification of housing benefit claim 2020-21. I think Mike will get us started.
Thank you, Chair. Just a quick introduction and then I'll hand over to Sam. The report presents the findings from a certification of Basildon Council's housing benefit subsidy claim for the financial year ending 31st of March 2021, completed by BDO. As required by the Department for Work and Pensions, the Council must appoint an external auditor to verify the accuracy of its claim. BDO has fulfilled this role since 2018-19. Although the audit was originally due for completion in November 21, it's only concluded in September 25. The certified claim totaled just under £41 million, representing the Council's reimbursement from the Department of Work and Pensions for housing benefits paid to its residents. The audit process involved detailed testing of benefit cases and system parameters, and the report outlines areas where errors were identified in the Council's administration and calculation of benefit entitlement. I'll hand you over to Sam, who's going to talk you through the process itself.
Thank you, Chair. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Sam. I'm the Benefits and Welfare Manager, and I've asked to come along to just discuss the audit and risk housing benefit subsidy claim, which is on the screen today. So I'm just going to click through there. Bear with me, sorry, I knew this was going to happen. Okay, so what is housing benefit? So housing benefit is a means tested benefit and it is administered by us on behalf of the Department of Works and Pensions. Housing benefit is intended to help claimants to meet housing costs for rented accommodation, both in the private and in the social sector. The administration of housing benefit can be very, very involved and due to the complexity of the regulations and caseloads, we have to have a robust audit in place. So how does the housing benefit process work? Okay, so what happens is Basildon Council pays housing benefit to a customer or a landlord. So we do that in the Revenues and Benefits team. Each year, Basildon Council then completes a claim for reimbursement of the housing benefit payments from the Department for Works and Pensions, and this is called a subsidy claim. We have to appoint an external auditor and they are required to certify that the subsidy claim has been fairly stated and they have to report back any errors to the DWP. So all correctly housing benefit is paid 100% subsidy. So in other words, the department meets the whole of the cost of what we have paid out in housing benefit. So for instance, if we paid out about £60 million correctly in housing benefit, we would get that money back from the DWP. Sometimes due to the complexity of the housing benefit, the DWP does recognise that errors will be made by us and these are called local authority or LA errors or admin delay overpayments. For LA overpayments, subsidy reimbursements from the DWP are determined based on the set threshold levels. The council can be reimbursed for all, some or none of the LA overpayments. So there's a little table here just to show you that up to 0.48% we do get 100% subsidy paid back on our LA errors, and if the overpayments are between 0.48 and 0.54%, we only get 40% subsidy paid for our errors, and then over 0.54% we don't get anything back. So as Mike said, BDO was our auditors for 2021, and they identified some types of errors that we had on our claim, and these are the types of errors. We had incorrect start date, and we inputted an incorrect rent figure. So they're the types of overpayments that BDO picked up on our subsidy claim. So just to put that into a bit of context, because you're probably thinking, wow, that's a lot of errors. For non-HRA, which is our temporary accommodation, our expenditure is over £2 million. And there's about 569 people claiming, and there was one identified error. For HRA, which is our secure rent accounts, we're paying out over nearly £18 million in expenditure, and that's 4,500 housing benefit customers, and 3 errors were identified. And for our PRA, which is our private rental, that's for secure accommodation that's not owned by the council, it's for private rental, it's £21.5 million of total expenditure, and that's 3,866 housing benefit claims, and we identified 4 errors. So this is going back to the LA error. So from our claim, we claimed back from the DWP nearly £41 million, and from that expenditure we had between 0.48% is £190,000, so we could have had up to £190,000 worth of errors before and this government will still give us back 100% subsidy. And then between 190 and 214,000, we would have only got 40%, and then over 0.54, nothing at all. So we have to keep within our LA thresholds in order to get that money back from the government. So pre-audit, our housing benefit claim for 2021 was submitted to the auditors with initial LA error figure of £47,000. So well in with our target, it was only 12%. After the subsidy audit, the BDO identified them errors, and that totalled £146 in LA overpayments. So adding that £146 onto our £47,000 increased our LA error to £48,000. So still within that threshold. So that meant there was no financial loss to the council, and we got all of our LA error money back from the government. So just to give you an update, in 2021 the housing benefit claim should have been completed by November 21. Unfortunately, this was completed in September 2025. We do now have new auditors, and they're called KPMG, and they are carrying out our 21, 22, 23 and 24 claims, and we're well on track to get these up to date. Apologies, I think I've gone too far. No, that's it. That's it. So over to any questions.
Thank you, Sam. That's very, very useful. Any members have any questions?
I've only got this highlighted.
Yep. Councillor Murphy.
I've only got it highlighted. The reason that it's so far behind us 3 years again. Is there a good reason why it's behind? Do we know there any reason why it's behind?
I think it's the same issue as regards to the main accounts. It comes down to a lack of resources, a lack of people to undertake actually the audit of the claim itself. It's a national issue. It's not just attributable to Basildon Council. Other councils experience the same problems. It's lack of in resources within those large accountancy firms to actually undertake the work.
I think the department should be congratulated. Obviously, they've kept it down to a very, very small amount considering the turnover. However, obviously, errors were found. Are we making progress to somehow stop these errors occurring?
Thank you, Councillor. Yes, we do have lots of training from the team. We have some external training. We have online training. The staff have been retrained in the areas where we found the errors. We also have a quality assurance officer who checks their work and they feed back to the staff. So all staff have been made aware of what error has been made and they've been told, you know, how it has affected the claim. So lots of training in place to mitigate that.
Okay, that's all from me.
Thank you, Councillor. Any other members have any comments on this? No. Well, yeah. Just to echo Councillor Murphy, really, it's fantastic. I think that that we're well under the 0.48 threshold, which just goes to show the work that this council does is in ensuring that no stones left unturned. And yeah, I'm also very happy to hear that the work for the 4 years that KPMG are catching up with is progressing nicely. So yeah, hopefully we'll be seeing those 4 years come into the committee soon and be up to date as quickly as possible. But no, thank you very much, Sam, for that. And if no members have any other comments on this one, oh yeah, Councillor Murphy.
Do we know when those figures are expected? Are they expected in one lump, or are we going to get 22, 23, 23, 24, etc.?
They will have to be done separately. So we will have to complete one audit and then move on to the next audit. That's because we have to report back to the DWP of our findings. But rest assured, we are sort of trying to do as much work as we can to get up to date. We're looking at trying to complete our 21-22 by the end of the year, fingers crossed. So and then we'll move on.
Thank you.
Brilliant. That's great to hear. So yeah, if no members have got any other comments on this one, then that item was for noting. Thank you very much. And then we're on to agenda item number 5, which is internal 2025-26, and that is Mike again.
Thank you. I'll just let Sam clear the room,
Thank you.
and then I'll start if that's okay.
All right. Yeah, Mike.
Thank you, Chair. Okay, I'm pleased to present the Internal Audit and Account Fraud Progress Report covering the period from April to September 2025. This report provides a comprehensive overview of our progress in delivering the 25-26 audit plan, the performance of service areas in implementing audit recommendations, and the outcomes of our counter-fraud activities. In terms of audit plan delivery, we've made steady progress against the 25-26 audit plan. Key financial system audits have been prioritised, including reviews of business rates, council tax and suspense account management. Business Rates itself received a substantial assurance rating from us, confirming robust controls and effective administration. Council tax was rated as adequate assurance with good practices in proactive reviews and third-party data matching. Both complaints handling and public health funerals are also complete, whilst a number of other audits are ongoing at present. Several audits have had to be rescheduled due to service developments or resource constraints, which may impact the overall assurance opinion at year end if I can't conclude on enough work for the year. In terms of implementation of audit recommendations, as at 25th of September, we had 65 active audit recommendations which were recorded on Pentana. Of these 67 active audit recommendations, 45, which represents 67%, were overdue based on the original implementation date. So the original implementation date is the date we were agreed with service managers when we issued the final report. Those dates do get moved, as sometimes recommendations can't be implemented by the due date because of service developments or ongoing IT issues. So sometimes those dates have to be pushed back. So where the dates have been revised, this level of outstanding recommendations, overdue recommendations, drops to 25 recommendations. But this indicates a trend of extended timelines, so recommendations are continually being pushed back by service managers for a number of reasons. Of those 25 audit recommendations that are identified as overdue, 8 are considered to be major priority, 13 are moderate priority, and 4 are low. Appendix C to this report outlines the progress made in terms of implementing major priority recommendations, whilst we have no critical recommendations active at present. The delays in terms of implementation in areas such as schema delegation and miscollections requires continued scrutiny and support from leadership. Turning now to counter fraud update. Between April and September 2025, the counter fraud team handled 392 new referrals. It closed 454 cases, and at present we have 150 cases under investigation. In terms of our work, this has resulted in around £122,000 worth of cashable savings, 2.6 million in non-cashable savings. Key areas of fraud activity have included council tax reduction, housing tenancy and right to buy, with notable recoveries and cancellation of fraudulent applications. The team continues to collaborate with revenues and benefits and other departments to strengthen our fraud detection and prevention. In summary, while progress has been made, focus is still required in terms of timely implementation of audit recommendations. I'm quite happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Mac. Yep.
Thank you. Mike, great progress in the fraud stuff. That's really significant. It's not really a question to you. I guess it's just a question, an open question. When we sat here in July, I could sense your frustration on the number of actions that are, or the actions that you had implemented that were overdue, and it feels like that's kind of increased, even though you've been very polite and said 25 are now, and the overdue. You've got 8. Well, there are 8 major priority actions. I just wondered what the thoughts were from around that and what's next. I guess
Thank you. Yeah, I think I banged on for a few minutes last time, highlighting the year of compliance. So I did believe at that point in time, service managers were going to step up to the plate, given it was the year of compliance, as trumpeted by the chief executive. It's turning more into the year of non-compliance, to be honest. Tina might be able to shed some light, but yeah, I mean, recommendations, are not being implemented. I'm well aware that service managers have a lot on their plate at the moment, lots of other areas to look at, and sometimes implementation recommendations do get pushed back because they've got other priorities. And I think at the moment, service managers do have a lot of other priorities at present. So this may be an area that does merit attention, but is getting pushed back because of bigger things to undertake, higher priorities than audit recommendations. But Yeah, it is something that sort of particularly upsets me. Not really upsets me, but it's basically that I like. Yeah, I like to see implementation of audit recommendations because if they remain outstanding, the control weaknesses we have identified remain outstanding. So that leaves the council at risk until such time as those control weaknesses are addressed. So it's particularly important that service managers do address audit recommendations to plug those weaknesses as identified. Yeah, hopefully we will see improvement. I mean, one of the areas that we have seen improvement, some of the recommendations going back to 2019-20 have been implemented. Some of the really old recommendations have now been implemented. Some of the recommendations that are quite old still relate to IT systems and IT problems, which can take a long time to basically fix or deal with. Yeah, hopefully there will be some improvement in the near future.
Thank you, Matt. Any other members got any queries on this one? Yep, Councillor Murphy.
I did read a report in one of the things that I was reading the other day. Read the length of time that people are taking for their housing applications for their subsidies right to buy, due to the fact that basically they haven't got the money. And they're stringing this out as long as possible to try and either save the deposit and or persuade the mortgage companies with inflation that it'd be worth buying. Have we got any, I don't know, any rules and regulations to sort of say if somebody applies that they have X amount of time, or can they string it on, or what do we do in this council?
Yeah, right to buy applications. The process itself is basically, yeah, there are specific time periods within right to buy application in terms of how long it takes to progress. So there is actually a robust process which sets out deadlines and timescales. I mean, I'm not an expert on it. I don't actually administer right to buy applications, but I am aware there is a policy. The council does have a right to buy policy which will set out clear timelines which we must comply with. And that's also in terms of getting information from the applicant and also how much time we've got to actually process the application itself. So there's timelines on both the applicant and us as a council to respond and progress that application. But I mean, what those timelines are, I can't comment because I'm not an expert. But we do have a policy on right to buy applications, and there is an application process which as a council we are due to follow. So we would set out those timelines in our policy.
It's just that I do believe that the amount that we can subsidise has gone down, and this is what's caused the problem that a lot of people have applied early to try and get the maximum subsidy, and now obviously they've applied a bit too early, the savings or whatever. I mean, every individual case. So what sort of time, could we find out at some stage what sort of time scale is going to be before the maximum or the old amount is finished and done with, and only the new amount can be given? Because I do believe that will probably cut down the number of people who wish to buy anyway.
The cut-off date was, I think, November 2024. In terms, that's the cut-off date to get your application in to receive the full discount that is currently on offer. I think it's around over £100,000. The rules have now changed, so that's why if you look at the fraud stats in terms of number of right to buys we've looked at, that's why it increased, because I think the cut-off date was November 2024, some date. So the influx application did massively increase. So you had to get your application in by, it might have been 26th of November 2024, but that's the cut-off date. So any application received after that date will be now subject to the new rules, the new discount allowance. So that's why there's this massive influx of basically right to buy applications. That's the cut-off date, as I understand it. It was November 2024.
So that's a year now. Should that influx be out the way by now? It's a year.
Yeah, the number of like current cases received is now drastically reduced. We were getting like probably 30 or 40 a year, and we were then getting 30 or 40 a month up until November. yeah, I think basically most of those are now being processed, and a number of the applications are now gone back to normal levels. Probably reduced because the amount of discount on offer is now reduced, drastically reduced, so you're not getting applications anymore.
Thank you. Any other members? Got any questions? Yeah, I mean, just looking through the pack. I mean, the counter fraud side of things all looks good. Always happy to see savings every time these items come to the meeting, and yeah, that part looks good. And then the reasons for things being delayed all seem to be around sort of either a change of process or a lack of resources. Is that broadly correct?
Yeah, that's broadly correct. Yeah, it's either sort of insufficient resources within the service department to basically allow that audit to take part, because we obviously need support from that service department, and it's helpful to get their support to allow an easy audit in effect, basically. Yeah. And then there's ongoing developments in some of those other service areas. We had expected like some of the developments to be complete by now, or some of the progress made in changing procedures and processes, which have been delayed for a number of reasons. So, you know, we like to go in and audit a system when it's working, and then allow it to 2 or 3 months to bed in, and then we come and look at it. So yeah, that's broadly the reasons why lack of resources and some of the developments we had thought would be online by now haven't actually come through.
Okay, thanks. And do you think there's a particularly large risk that some of these will drag on too long, or go beyond the deadlines that we need to meet?
No, I've got some like reassurances from service managers that we will be able to complete those audits before year end, and we have undertaken some other audits in key financial systems. So I don't believe it's going to be a problem when I get to year end. I think I will have undertaken sufficient work to provide an annual opinion on the council's arrangements for risk management, governance, and internal control. I don't see it the problem. We're in constant dialogue with service managers. I do speak to them now and again, saying, "Can I undertake this audit? Are you going to experience any more problems? Are you going to delay it further, push it back?" So there is a constant dialogue between myself and service departments, and we are moving forward. I think I'll be able to complete the audits as set out in the audit plan by the end of the year.
Great, thank you. Last call for any other members if you've got any queries. Oh yeah, Councillor Murphy.
Partnership, external funding and grant claims. I noticed that some work is done. I've got a big question mark on this, it's just me being thick. I noticed some work's being done by Brentwood Council and Rochford Council. I'm presuming that they do the work for whoever? Around
these are in relation to what we talked about, housing benefit subsidy claims. So we actually audit the housing benefit claim. We'll do some audit work in relation to both Basildon Council, Brentwood Council, because it's a shared Revs and Bens service. So basically, Revs and Bens provide a service both for Basildon Council and Brentwood. So we will audit their HP subs claim, and then we also do some audit work for Rochford Council. So we do initial testing on their HP claim as well. So my internal audit team does 3 sets of housing benefit subsidy claim audits. So Basildon, Brentwood and Rochford. So basically we get paid. It's income generation for the internal audit team. So basically we charge Rochford Council for undertaking that work on behalf of external audit. We get the initial testing. So my team undertakes the initial testing in relation to housing benefit claims.
So it's a service. Yep. I think I'm all there. Everything else is ticked. I'm happy with. Okay.
Great, thank you very much. So if there are no other queries, then thank you very much, Mike. That item's for noting. And on to the final item. Oh, Eddie, do you want to switch your mic off? There we go. So yeah, that item was for noting, and now on to the final item of the evening, which is the work programme for 2025-26. Do any members have any queries on the work programme? No. In that case, thank you very much, everybody.